Ah, so much background admin. Ugh. All right, let's just kick into it, right? We got a lot of stuff to do. Ta-da! I've been trying to figure out a way to do this. I think this is how certain other channels do this. They just use the online resource of list building to try to craft a list. But on top of that, let's see if I can. We'll put the stuff actually out on a table so we can see what the list looks like. And again, this is like a think tanky thing. So we're going to try to figure out exactly what we want to play and for what reason. Because that's always a fun thing about list building, and I don't think a lot of people talk about it enough. There's still far too many people right now when it comes to general gaming who mostly look at the concept of list building as what does the most damage that I can just chuck into my list. And that doesn't really work. At least not how you would think it does. I might also pull up the index for all of you to take a look at. We can go in between it. We are doing the standard detachment, the index detachment. I tried the Grotmus detachment, and it really doesn't serve too much of a purpose. So, like, I don't really want to continue forward with it if it honestly doesn't matter that much. But yeah, you can take a crack over here. I can actually go with basic full screen, I believe. So we're sticking with Cult of Magic because this is honestly far superior to Grotmus in every way. Most people will tell you exactly the same thing. This is why I don't think when the Thousand Suns Codex comes out that this is going to be here, because this is way too strong. This really was an overcompensation idea. Now this is garbage. The way Cabal points are generated on the field and the cost values for all of this, which, by the way, all of this got nerfed, like, heavily. All of this got pretty hard nerfed, like, especially Twist of Fate here. Twist of Fate used to just strip all armor, and that was it. That was really strong. I agree maybe they should have adjusted it. So what they did was they made it armor pen increase by 2 for Thousand Sun units in particular. This was actually the nerf that bothered me the most off of this, because I had a weird plan to utilize one of those, God, what was it called? The Abominant, the Knight Abominant, in a list with Thousand Suns entirely built around generating 9 Cabal points so that they could strip armor off of something so that that unit could shoot it. Because that unit's gun is one of the best guns in the game except for its armor pen. That's the biggest issue it has. But this army could individually target its target with a Cabal, rip its armor off, and then have the Abominant shoot it. Just obliterating it. Because, like, the Abominant's gun, I'll pull it up on my phone. I was debating getting the BlueStack version of the Warhammer 40k app so we could build in there. But there's something that rubs me the wrong way about an app being like, hey, give us your Google information. I don't know if I want to do that. So ranged weapon, Volkite. It's 9 attacks, hitting on 3s at 30 inches. So it's really good, just general statting. It's strength 12, which is insanely good for strength on this 9 attack gun. The AP being 0, again, garbage, but damage 3. So in the original plan, you would twist of fate like a tank, like a Land Raider or something, and then you would shoot this gun at it. And it has dev wounds, so if you roll 6s on the wound, that's it. But if you don't, all you need to do is wound in general, which I think against the Land Raider, this is a 4+. And that's 3 damage per hit. And of course you can have things to go after to try to like actually tear down the thing it's shooting at. But like that was the combo, but then they did this. And that screwed everything up. Because now this is only like, this is for your army. And if you consider how the guns work in the army, AP2 is great, but like most of your general attacks are just straight up frickin' 1 damage. This is all about picking the right sorcerer to hit it with that has like good damage numbers on top of just decent attacks. It all really comes down to this. And I kind of want to lean this detachment into Cabal points. I try to avoid them. I usually go explicitly like for this. If I can do this consistently, if I can get to maybe like 7 Cabal points total, maybe even just like general, I'm cool with it, but mostly for this specifically. Like I will let this not happen. I'll just be like, whatever. I want double move because this is tactically one of the most powerful concepts in the Thousand Sun lineup. Just because it allows you to double move in the shooting phase, which means you can't get overwatched when you move. So it's just really nice. But yeah, this is way too strong. So we're probably not going to have this once the Codex comes out. That's the general gist and understanding of how this is all going to work out, is that they're just going to be like, no. You do not get access to the ability to change what your psychic attacks hit for. Let alone this on top of the ability to make all of your bolt guns psychic. Like seriously, Inferno bolt guns, combi bolters, and combi weapons. You basically just get a squad of whatever. And like Terminator's still very overcosted. I tried this out statistically speaking. Scarab Occult. So the statistics on this, right? What you want to do is if you have a Scarab Occult Terminator squad and you don't have a leader in it, you could go lethal hits on the guns and then just deep strike them. Because once you deep strike them in with the combi bolters, that's rapid fire too. So you're just 4 attacks each across possibly 10 Terminators if you're going to be crazy. That's just 40 attacks. Lethal hits. Like, it's not bad. But then again, I mean, you just get a leader. You get the Terminator leader, and you get lethal hits passively. So it's like, whatever. Maybe you could do sustained. Although that's not really as effective. Question is, do we Magnus? I mean, we are going the detachment of Magnus. This is the Magnus play right here. Do we go classic castle? Do we go Magnus Ahriman as a combo? I mean, Ahriman basically just costs slightly more than a one of the exalted sorcerers, and he is technically way better. So, probably. I am willing to consider alternative theories, though. What's fun about this detachment is it is very adaptable when in terms of its command point use. The problem is you can't necessarily generate a lot of command points on the team. I do have cultists I could utilize as fodder, which throwing them forward could give me command points, which is nice. But maybe, just maybe, we aim for, I don't know, 19 Cabal points on field at any point in time. Do we Lord of Forbidden Lore? Probably, right? If we aim for 19, we are probably going to be double Doom Bolting, so we might as well Lord of Forbidden Lore. Question is, what do we put that on? We might need to run a Rhino. Because depending on what my opponent is, he might have indirect attacks, which means I might need to put my Lord of Forbidden Lore Sorcerer inside a Rhino at the start of the game, just to make sure he doesn't get crushed. I mean, Sorcerers on Discs of Tzeentch are scary durable, so it might not be that bad. I do have access to Predators, but I don't think I want to use one. I know a lot of people are leaning into them because they are really cheap for the weapons platform. I do have Chaos Spawn we can utilize. If we want to do like weird beast rundown, like run onto objectives, hold them, force people out to just deal with a 60-point squad of nothingness. Like, this squad is worthless. But that's what makes them great, because it's going to pull someone out. They're going to have to go for it. If I'm standing on an objective and you let them stay on the objective, you lose, I guess. But do I want to play forward? I've watched a lot of videos of Thousand Suns players who play Castle, and they don't move forward. They just take one of the corners. And then just sit there and wait for anything to get close to them. I don't know if that works, though, in the current rule set. We have to consider the missions, right? We have to consider what units are going to do what for what missions. It is a bit of a struggle. I think there is enough tools. There's definitely enough tools in the toolbox for this army to pull stuff off. The problem is there are a lot of actions you have to take out of all of the missions. Let's see. Let's try to take a look at some stuff. Maybe we do it. I haven't Magnused in forever. So at the very least, we could drop a Magnus. And that's absolutely fine. So just one Magnus. Just a single burb so far. Now, a usual concept is to try to protect him. The biggest issue you'll find with Magnus is that if you're going against, like, rushdown melee and they get to him, he kind of just becomes, like, easy to kill in a way. It's a numbers game will bring him down. Just weight of attacks, weight of sheer force. It's a pretty brutal concept. We need to build Cabal, though. We need to maybe think. I do kind of want to utilize a single enhancement at the very least, if not two. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the Umbralific. Umbralific is still too strong. It's genuinely too strong. And then on top of that, Lord of Forbidden Lore. That way we could potentially double Doombolt something, which is a bit of a casino, but I think it works. And then we're kind of torn. We could either Arcane Vortex in a sort of standard fashion. One of the common tricks is to take an MSU unit of an Infernal Master and a squad of maybe like, I think, yeah, 5 of Rubrics, all Flamers, and put them into reserve. And the whole reason you do that is because they're going to come off the table edge if something's good and close to a table edge, probably around turn 3. And he'll have an Arcane Vortex, which, statistically speaking, like, it's ridiculous for damage. It's way too good. So let me show you a trick. For those of you non-Thousand Suns enjoyers out there, let me show you a trick with all of this. So in the turn, you've declared Dev Wounds. That's usually what you'll do as a Thousand Sun. So all psychic attacks come with Dev Wounds, regardless of what the attack is. Infernal Master. There we are. So this is awesome. You go 2d6 for the attacks. The problem is, this sucks. If you hit this with the Arcane enhancement, this damage goes to 2. So this this becomes a Space Marine murdering attack. Like, straight up, this will kill Space Marines. But also that 2 damage becomes highly, like, effective as a guaranteed 2 mortals. Because the trick with Infernal Master, not only is he insanely cheap for the 2 Cabal points he provides in terms of points value, his ability is to provide the chance per turn, which, if I'm not mistaken, turn is player-based. Round is the overall round. So once per your turn, once per your opponent's turn. You can change hit, wound, damage, or saving to 6. So damage is specifically force weapon. That's all that is. But when you're shooting, right, you can roll the 2d6. You can check and see the results. And then you roll for the wounds. Now, depending on how many 6s you roll, maybe you pull something down to like 1 or 2 wounds left, and you've got a single dice that you rolled that is like a 2. You can turn it to a 6 and spike another 2 mortals. All at the same, like, you can just choose to do it. I lost knights to this. The first time I fought a person who was playing a very meta Thousand Suns list, like, he came around the corner with an Infernal Master after dropping one of my big knights down to like 5 wounds, and then just killed it. He double Doombolted my big knight, popped around the corner with an Infernal Master, and then killed it instantly. Then again, he was spiking his rolls. The opening double Doombolt was max damage. It was so stupid. I hated it so much. Like, if you're going to double max damage me on Doombolts, I'm going to ask you about your dice and their weighting. Like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But yeah, we could go for an Infernal Master Bomb. This is too good. This is why you have to run Magnus. It's too good in this detachment. Way too powerful. Like, this is insane, dude. These stats, all of it, and you just apply Dev Wound to the Psychic Blast attack. D6 plus 3, just good chance on 2s. Give him full rerolls from the ploy. They made this detachment too strong. We're going to lose it. People need to be prepared to not have the power of this detachment in the Codex. Ugh. He's so good, though. I also have these if we want to dick around with a Helldrake, but I don't think we do. Because if we're going to aim for top tier on this army, I think we need to lean into like as much of these guys as possible. We're going to go hyper elite, which is not good because I think... Let me go check the cards. I'm still not 100% on how these missions work. I know that there's like table edge. I know that there's middle and enemy deployment. Get rid of these secret missions. No, everyone. So when the first set of mission cards came out, everyone was like, "Oh, these bonus super missions suck." And then the new ones came out, and they were like, "Ooh, secret missions. That actually works." And then after like a month, everyone was like, "We hate secret missions. No one uses them." I don't know. They do need to figure out a fun bonus function because I think the bonus concept is great, but no one likes the uncertainty. So sabotage is holding a objective. Like there's so many actions you have to take with this list, and I hate it. Overwhelming force. Marked for death, containment, storm hostile, engage, area denial. That one's just holding center. Behind enemy, call the horde, defend stronghold, recover assets, establish no prisoners. Assassination, here we are. Assassination is marked with that little symbol, which means I think this is a fixed one. And if I go heavy character and my opponent notices it, he could, if he has a way to generate command points outside of sacrificing cards, he could just go fixed assassination. And I'd probably be very screwed. Like, there's almost no way all my characters are alive by the end of the game. I wonder what he goes after that. What do you take with that? You wouldn't take established locusts. Call the horde wouldn't really work against my army. Behind enemy lines, no. I feel like you could go fixed engage on all fronts in a lot of different games and be fine. Storm hostile. There's a lot. I know so many players at the store I go to right now who do not, like, if they have a way to generate a command point, they still go tactical. And I think you can just get around going tactical if you can generate command points. I think you can just pick 2 very easy to achieve missions if you have the numbers for it, and then you just do it. Like, straight up, frickin' engage on all fronts, and I don't even know at that point. Wouldn't be cleanse. Unless you have good, like, tiny squad mechanics units. It would have to be something that isn't an action. Storm hostile would suck if you don't go second. Containment. Actually don't know. So they only really give you one decent mission you can do in fixed. And then I guess you just ask your opponent if they have a ton of characters, and then go assassination. So do we go a mechanics sorcerer on disc? I like these. Their move is great. They're not considered mounted, so they can go through walls. 6 wounds is insane for a standalone unit. Like, you do not put this inside of a squad. It's kind of one of those, like, it's almost like a trick, because you see him, you see that he provides a squad 4+ invulnerable, and you're just like, oh, that's cool, you could give a squad 4+. No, you don't. This isn't how you go. You go this, because it's on foot 4+, same move distance as the units in the squad, and he provides resurrection to the squad as well, whereas this guy provides slow to things he hits that aren't monsters and vehicles. Do we want to go stealth? I hate this. The indecision is real, and I'm not getting any feedback from the internets. Because there's always the concept that I could go the 18-inch lone op with some of my sorcerers and just like chill on points. We do have access to just a ton of interesting concepts with this army. Like, for instance, for those who are unfamiliar, Demon Prince with Wings. Gets a, from the beginning of the game, uppy downy. That is constant. I feel that, Steeljack. Sometimes, even though they are my main army, I also feel like I have no clue what's going on. Although I did win with a Grotmist detachment the other day. On sheer force of will. Sheer force of will. So much of me wants to lean into a flavor army, though. Like, I kind of want to go Abominant MVB, the Mutilith Vortex Beast, because Mutilith Vortex Beasts in the Thousand Suns army have that aura. The aura does mortal wounds, and then anyone within the range of the aura have to take Battle Shock tests. But if you have multiple MVBs, the aura is the same. So if I charge 3 MVBs in a small cluster at you, all the squads that are near them only have to do this once. They don't have to do it more than once. But the Abominant has the same exact aura, just different named. So you have to do, if I have an MVB and an Abominant next to each other, you're gonna have to take both of those as mortal wounds. And I think the Abominant gets, let me pull it up. I think his ability also causes you to battle shock. So you just have this like double battle shock situation in the middle of the field. Yeah. Start of the shooting phase, I make someone take a battle shock. And then the other one is at the end of the movement, I do D3 mortals on a 3+ to all targets with a 9, and I think MVBs are 6. I think Mutilith. Yeah, 6. So you have these things running around doing 6-inch auras of mortals, and then the Abominant running around doing a 9. It's what I call a melty team. I don't think it works though. Although they did drop the Abominant points cost a metric ton. Sikarn Punisher. Oh, I do have legends. I assumed I didn't have access to legends. Like good ones. I really wish the Daradio, I call it the Dorito, but the Daradio, I wish I had access. I want more walkers. I really hope that the Automata rumor is completely true. Because I do love me some walkers. Fortifications. Allied units. Amble. I have one of these. Chaos Knight Abominant. Knight Abominant. 365 points. Kairos is cheaper than it still, though. Ugh. I hate it. Kairos is Vect. We could... I don't know. Dude, because they're so cool. Some of the frickin' Horus Heresy ones that I've seen are like, yo, 2 quad auto cannons and a missile rack. Be like, yes, please, I want. Yeah, this Mammer Jammer. If I could take 3 of those, I would. Like, come on. I think it's so cool looking. At the end of the day, I just want the Thousand Suns Dreadnought, though. The one that's a Psyker, and it has like a big staff with a glaive on the end of it. I want the Psyker Dreadnought. Why do other factions who aren't considered the space sorcerers, why do they have access to like psychic dreadnoughts and I don't? I hate that. I hate that so much. God, this is a struggle. So what do we want to plan to do? Do we want to lean into fodder first? Sometimes people go Chaos Cultists as fodder. Sometimes they go Zangors. You'll get a little more durability out of the Zangors just because they are higher toughness. They also have the chance, I want to say, to get me bonus Cabal points. Also, do we go with Zangor Enlightened as mechanics units? Because they get really good movement, but they also get the reactive move if anything gets within 9 inches of them, making them fantastic for just being in the worst possible places. But yeah, Zangors, chance at Cabal points if they are on an objective marker. Whereas Cultists are, they need to die, and on a 2+ you get a command point. I can't put either into Rhinos, which sucks. But it is what it is. I think Zangors are pretty good, and I do have a lot of them. Like, this can be surprisingly good in combat. The 4+ to hit is garbage. The whole point of this, in my opinion, is that you do at some point need a Chaos Terminator Sorcerer Lord, a Thousand Sun Sorcerer Lord, because he would mark the target they're about to charge with rerolls of 1s. And then you get this. You get 20 attacks, hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s. Strength 5, which is better than most fodder melee strength that you'll ever see. Like, that is actually really good. AP 1, which isn't bad. Damage 1, which is whatever. But it's still, like, they're pretty fine, I think. But when you lean over to Cultist, I don't even roll for Cultist melee, if I'm being real. Like, these guys are garbage. I don't even go into the system to give them any of this, because I don't want to roll anything. I think only the leader can take a flamer, right? Yeah, every 10 you get 1 flamer. Like, this is all just garbage. This is so bad. Crack Grenade could be potentially good, but just the fact that it's attack 1, 50-50. It's like, I don't want to deal with that. No, no, ours don't. Chaos Space Marine cultists do. Ours do not. Ours do not. Ours get 2+ if I die for a CP, or 2+ if I get a kill for a CP. Which, this is good. We get Scout 6. This is built in. I think in Chaos Space Marines, you have to go a specific faction to give your cultist Scout. But mine passively get Scout 6. Again, though, I can't put them into Rhinos. In Chaos Space Marines, you can. So my Vashdor list actually has 3 squads of cultists in Rhinos. Well, 2 in Rhinos. 1 that just sits on the back line. So far we've already decided on Magnus. I'm gonna go for the classic because we are doing the whatever the magic one is. I'm calling it for funsies. Ah. Uh-oh. What's happening? Back. I seem to have hit a button that doesn't really... Oh, God. For funsies. Hang on. There we go. Okay, that's stupid. I'm guessing this is a holdover from the prior system. So don't pay attention to this 6 out of 1. We are Cult of Magic. They can be. I feel like if you go cultists, you're sort of making a call on whether or not you actually want to get rid of cards, because if a squad of cultists dies at the top of turn 1 or at the bottom of turn 1 and then you get the command point for it, I guess it's not, it depends on when you go, right? I feel like most Thousand Sun players claim they want to go second just because it's a reactionary team. The fact that Rubric Marines, let me show you, and this is also why people didn't like the Grotmist detachment. Rubric Marines. Jesus. There we are. So the passive stuff for Rubric Marines is each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. That's your Grotmist detachment rule, by the way. This happens to only psychic attacks in particular in the Grotmist detachment. This is for everything in the Rubric squad. This is all guns, this is all of it. Reroll wound rolls of 1. If the target of that attack is within range of an objective marker you do not control, reroll everything. Reroll all of it. So better than the Grotmist detachment. And this is what you go. Because there's nothing in the entire army that is valuable that isn't like a solo psyker unit that you wouldn't look at and go, it needs to be in a Rubric squad. So, no value. I think the +1 to, or the rerolls of 1 or the +1 to wound roll, I think that is almost exclusively for Demon Princes with their melee weapons. That's it. Like, if you're going to go heavy on Demon Princes, that's what you go. But then again, I mean, you can just give them lethal hits or sustained hits or dev wounds. Like, it's so stupid. You think Zang's? So what I've seen historically, and we'll toss this into the list. Oh, hang on. Yeah, there you go. I got to pay attention to what you guys are seeing. I got 3 windows set for this. So yeah, this. We're going to get this as well as AP up by 1 if you crit on the wound. So, like, this is the squad everyone's in, which makes Grotmus garbage. There's just no reason for it. So, what you're saying... Well, let me show you the common spread that I've seen for fodder units. Plus, plus. And where are they? Plus, plus, plus. You could probably drop one of these. But let me gather this up for you. Probably go blades. And remember, I have a bunch of ally access. Although you probably don't need allies all that much. What do Zangors have access to? Do I actually want to bring my specialty Zangors? Yes. Yes. So we do need the banners. Okay. This is actually big, I think. Chaos Cultists do not get reroll to Battle Shock. This is actually generally good, I think. Because a lot of the times it's only 6-inch movement, so you normally early game you want them to rush places. This is good for all the rolls of 1 that you're ever gonna roll. At least it's good at first until you hit that psychological wall of, man, I just rolled 2 1s in a row for my advanced rolls. I guess I lose this game. Let me grab... Here you go. Recently played a Spearhead game, so I've got stuff kind of everywhere. Oh, and for all the Knights enjoyers in chat, did you guys see the... Oh, where the hell are my icon bearers? Oh, they're there. Did you guys see the new Combat Patrol? I picked up the list yesterday. There's a store that's a half hour away from me that was like, yo, Warhammer Wednesdays at 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. And I was like, that's cool, but it's Wednesday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I don't think anyone's going to show to that ever. But last night I was like, let me go check it out. Because every time I've talked to the store owner, he's always like, yeah, just show up. People will always be here. We always have people playing the game. Just show up. It'll be good. What's up, Darth? So I was like, let's go check it out. And yeah, no one was there. So. Oh, well. I kind of want to tell them apart. So hang on. Interestingly, the kill team for Warp Coven got access to Zangors with shields. And 40k still doesn't have access to them. Hopefully we get this adjustment in the new codex, because I wouldn't mind having like a better save, better maybe invulnerable or just general survivability function in Zangors. I think it could be really cool to have just like a slightly better than normal at taking hits squad. It doesn't need to be god tier. I'm not saying that. But it could be really cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think the Knights are going to be hard to play, specifically score. They're not going to be hard to make decisions on. Honestly, the fastest game you will ever play in Combat Patrol will probably be Knights on Knights. That will be the fastest game. It's going to be faster than any frickin' kill team match. Anything. Anything. Alright, Pope. I do have a lot of Chaos Demons, specifically Tzeentch Demons, so I can run them as allies. The problem is, as I've been saying, I want this to be a good list. So you don't really lean into allies that much unless you want to do mechanics only. Like, if you look at these two squads, the best they can do is possibly, I think, give me 1 Cabal point, if not 2, depending on where they are. Alternatively, although the points don't add up to this, 1 whole squad missing, well, actually, this whole thing missing equals 1 squad of Blue Horrors, which is an Infiltrator squad, which is nice. And then, of course, you gotta figure out how to put the Changeling in there, because that plus Changeling is really good at just being like, I'm over here, I'm on this objective, you're not doing anything to me. But then you miss out on fodder frontline, which is what I'm looking for here. Speaking of which, yeah. To those of you out there that like to proxy, for the low cost of the equivalent of 2 boxes of Chaos Spawn, you can buy, or for the low cost of the equivalent models for 3 boxes of Chaos Spawn, you can buy 2 boxes of Ogroids, because it's the same base size. Let me actually just show you. Chaos Spawn. So, yeah. So this is the fodder line. It is extremely cheap. It makes for good capability at screening the front line. It makes for just generally good area coverage. You can always gap these guys in front of your Thousand Suns to ensure that even if they die, like, whatever. I have 440k. I have, of course, Thousand Suns. I have Chaos Demons, Tzeentch variety, because Thousand Suns. I have Chaos Knights, because allies for Chaos Sun, or for Thousand Suns. I have a Vashdor list for Chaos Space Marines, which consists mostly of the tanks I got for my Thousand Suns, but also Venom Crawlers, because you need those. And as well Vash. And I painted them to look like Tzeentch-y stuff, so it kind of works out. As well, I have a Gene Stealer cult list, which is mostly Gene Stealers and Abominants. It's the Rushdown Biosanctic list. I really shouldn't have bought the Gene Stealer cult. My buddy talked me into it. I should not have done it. I should have just waited for Emperor's Children. I enjoy playing my Genestealer cults once in a while, but there's so much back end on it. It gets really bad for admin. But yeah, this is where we kind of are right now. That puts us at 790 points left, right? Is that how I'm reading this? Or is that what we're at? I think that's what we're at. If I do that. Oh. All right. Okay. So this is how many points we have left. Which is weird. It says negative, and that makes me wonder. But yeah. It's good. I think this is a good fodder core. I've always felt that this is a better fodder core than the Chaos. The freaking cultists. I feel like if you're going to lean into cultists, you might as well try to figure out how to do fixed objectives. Do I want to MVB? If we're going to be leaning into Cabal functions, MVB could be useful. I have 3. I don't want to run 3 because we do need Cabal points. I want to try to get to about 19 Cabal points, and we're currently sitting at 4. I actually want in this list to utilize Doom Bolts and stuff. Even though Doom Bolt is an extreme casino cannon. Like, I have no ability to change the roll for Doom Bolt. I have no functional ability to manipulate the outcome of it at all. I'm looking on a 1, it's D3 mortals. 2 to 5, it's D3 plus 3, and a 6, it's D3 plus 6. I had a guy double Doom Bolt my frickin' Castigator, my Knight Castigator, and he rolled a 6 for both Doom Bolts, and then max damaged it every. Dude, I was so mad. I was like, yeah, he could Doom Bolt me twice. The average is he puts maybe like 5 or 6 wounds on it. It's whatever. Maybe like 7-ish wounds, maybe 8. Nope. Straight up 18 wounds. Right off the rip. Like, okay, I lose. So yeah, we've got the fodder line. We might do a 1 Mutilith. We might do 1 Mechanics Mutilith, because going for the 36-inch range on all of the freaking Cabal functions is really good, I think. Because most of the range is all 18. Like, everything's 18-inch range except the one where you just get a free freaking ploy. Which, I think I'm going to have to utilize that, right? I think in a single round, like the opening round for this game, I'm going to need to be able to double Doom Bolt potentially. But the big one I need to be able to do is the free ploy. Because if I get something in line of sight of Magnus, I need to activate the free reroll function on him. And if I make it free, I save my command points up. That's like the only ploy I actually want to use, is the full reroll ploy. is this enough for mechanics as well, or do we need to take like 2 small squads, or even just 1 small squad of Enlightened? I think we'll figure that out at the end, because Enlightened are super cheap. It's 50 points, I believe. Is it 50? That seems a little low. I thought it was 60. Oh no, let me check out. Let me check and see if the thing I'm using doesn't have the right points. I could have swore it was 60. No, it's 50. It's 50 for 3, and then it's 90 for 6. That's interesting. I do think we go a Mutalith. Pick a color. We've got magenta, we've got orange, and we've got yellow. But after this point, I don't think we put too much effort into anything that doesn't give us Cabal points, in my opinion. Like, which one? Which one do you want to drop in? So yeah, magenta, yellowish green, or orange. Yellow green one, my old one. That's the first one I ever purchased. There's about a year and a half of time between when I purchased that yellow orange one and when I was able to get the magenta or the yellow green one, and then when I was able to get the orange and magenta ones. Just because of how Games Workshop friggin' their shipping worked. I was actually super lucky to get that middle one too, because I went on the website and the website said it was sold out, and I went to my local store and they were like, "Oh, let's check our distributor." So they checked and they were like, "Yeah, they have one." I was like, "What? Okay, I'll take it. 100%, I'm taking it." And they're like, "Cool." And apparently, shortly after I got that, this was when Games Workshop changed how they put stuff out there. So specifically, what happened, as far as I can tell from what I've been told, if you wanted like these different items, right? Like if you wanted to order something, local game stores would have like a middleman between Games Workshop and them. So those places would have different resources than what Games Workshop had. So those places could have rule books that are out of stock. They could have models that are out of stock. It was a whole thing. You did need to ask your local game store if they had access to things. But apparently somewhere along the way, Games Workshop went, "Hey, we're going to send you a code. You're going to sign up for an account on our website using that code. That code will mark you as a point of sales location, so you'll get a discount on the purchases and all that. But it's now all the same resource. So if you're ever in your area and you're like, I wonder if my local game store will be able to order this out of stock thing, they won't. No. If they have it, they have it. If not, they don't. And it's a little annoying. Because I liked the middleman concept, and I realized it's Games Workshop spending money on like different warehouses and people. But the idea of separating the online stock versus what local game stores can get meant that local game stores had a leg up at times to get people to want to go out to them and be like, "Hey, can I get this Chaos Land Raider? Which I think Chaos Land Raiders have been sold out for a while now, maybe. There's one tank that I've been looking for that is just consistently sold out. Right now it's Screamers. I can't find Screamers in the United States. So I'm not getting Screamers anytime soon. Amazon has them for $10 more than Games Workshop sells them for. So I will not be purchasing them from Amazon. Hey, we could go yellow. We could bring the classic. I don't want to do more than one. It's less about the pressure and more about the mechanic with it. Mutilith Vortex Beast. Brayhorn Herd. I love that they automatically were like, you want Zangor Blades. You don't want Pistol and Chainsword. This is... Dude, I still hate the Games Workshop app where it's like, all right, here's the scroll, right? Like, here's the... You have to tap plus minus to get to where you need to be. I hate that so much. They need to add a button to it of, like, maximum reduction and maximum increase for the squad size. Because, like, if you get it wrong, right? Like, there's squads where... Oh, you'll get a bolt gun and a knife, but if you take the banner, you lose the knife, and you get your fists instead. So if you have 10 guys, and you're like, 10 knives, let me add the banner, the app's like, this is illegal! Oh my god. Calm down. Eventually, I'm just going to put this in the app anyway, so it doesn't really matter. This is more for me. So we've got fodder, we've got mechanics. We have to lean into squads. I have seen 2 schools of thought on this. Okay? 2 schools. One school is the MSU school, where it's 5 rubrics and a leader. And that's it. On average, what that's going to amount to is, I think, 110, right? Because this does a 5-man. So it's 110, and then bare minimum 105. So 215 points out of 1050. But then we literally have no mechanics units, which I don't want to be stuck with. The most mechanics we'll have is an Umbrellific Crystal on something, and then that's basically it. You're just hoping that your fodder line holds. So 215, actually 1050 divided by 215. So you get 4 of those squads. I don't know if it's worth it. And I'm completely fine sacking one of the 1 or 2 of the chaos spawns, honestly. Like, I'm not that super worried about having 3. I'm completely fine getting rid of them, if need be. They're just there as gap fillers and midfield mechanics runners, because they're 8-inch move. They're really good. They're very durable against fodder fire. T5 is already passively really good. I mean, and everyone complains about it with things like the frickin' Death Guard. Like, once you go to T5, everyone's like, I hate it. But Wounds 4 on top of it's like, oh, that's nuts. 5+ invulnerable and a 4+ regular? I mean, you keep them in cover. That's a 3+ if somebody's shooting at you with no AP. So, 3+ save, baby. And then... Feel no pain. And then, at start of each, not your, each player's command phase, regain D3 lost wounds. I've gone through rounds of attacks with these guys where only 1 wound goes through, and then I just don't put the marker down. I'm just end of the fight phase. The only squad in melee with them does 1 wound, and I'm like, I'm not gonna put the marker down. I'm getting that wound back at the top of the phase. Like, these things are obnoxious. And for 65 points, I think they're really good for their move speed as well. If a fun meta concept in 40k that not a lot of people talk about is the betterment of beast versus infantry or monster. There are so many weapons in this game that are infantry or monster killer, right? There's even a lot of weapons that are anti-demon and psyker. Do you see that down here? Do you see anti-demon or psyker on the, or demon or psyker keywords? No, you don't. This is the least anti-unit possible in the game right now, I think. I think there's some people who have anti-chaos, which, yeah, sure. It's a very weird focus of your unit, but okay. But, like, going beast means they can still go through walls, which is fantastic. As well, like, you could run them into a squad that's like, I'm anti-infantry. Like, what is it? Frickin' the flamers from the Death Guard are something like anti-infantry, like 2 or 3 or some shit. It doesn't work on these. You can have fun shooting it at them with your Overwatch, because they're coming for you. But you don't get any anti-function on it, which is really good in my opinion. Let me look that up. Oh, there's so many characters. Plague Marines. Ranged weapons. Yeah, they get anti-infantry 4+ on Belchers. Spewers are 2+. That's what my one guy I fought did a lot of spewers. So like every time I ran into him, he was like, anti-infantry 2. This is hilarious. Nope, no anti-infantry 2 against me, you little bastard. Coming at you with some beast. I might do a video overview of the, because I do want to break into like 40k. I might do a video overview of the Knights combat patrols. Because as far as I can tell, I mean, I got a wedding to go to. Maybe I could easily throw this together in a night. Try to get the video out this weekend. Maybe. There's potential. Because apparently the Necron combat patrol, the White Dwarf one, isn't in the app yet. So I think they're probably not going to release this in the app for like a while. And I feel like there's a lot of Knights players who are probably going to want to play combat patrol against their friends. And they're good. It's the cheapest combat patrol you can purchase right now if you want to get into the game. And you're just weirdly interested in giant mechs. Which, who's it? Like, who isn't? Really? Like, come on. Giant mechs. Let's go. Okay, so. Do we go Ahriman? I think we have to. But, do we go Ahriman in a squad? Or do we go Ahriman on a disc? I don't like putting on-disc units in squads. Because that on-disc unit provides the anti-fly keyword as a negative to them. And you don't want that when you can't give the squad the increased move speed. Like if the squad was like move at the fastest speed of all the units in the squad, I'd be like, hell yeah, 12-inch move on rubrics, let's go. But no. Or is it 10? It's either 10 or 12. Yeah, it's 10. So we either go Ahriman on foot in a squad. I think they get the same thing. This is huge though. This is the, hey, I'm playing frickin' the Grotmist detachment and I'm in my zone, but only for psychic abilities. Whereas this is everything. At which point, if we go on foot, he's got to be in my flamer squad. So he is going to be a flamer bomb. He has 3 freaking points, too. And the ritual for 0 Cabal feels so good as a clutch attack. It's either that or he's on his own. He's going to miss out on the +1 to wound, though. This is why people lean into the Exalted Sorcerer on disc instead, if you're going to solo. Because it's still 4+ invuln. I think it's still the same wound count. It's less of a cost, and none of these things don't trigger for not having a squad. All you need to do is just Arcane Fire or something to slow it down once in a while. You're good. It's just 1 less Cabal point. Unless I give him scrolls, and then he's fine. It's still very up in the air about what we're about to go. Because 18-inch lone op on a sorcerer squad is nice. I could give that the Umbralific Crystal. That's always the trick. If you're fighting a rushdown army and they're getting to your side, you could Umbralific your sorcerer squad to the opposite side of the field. Potentially kill whatever they have on their back line. Ooh. Well, okay, so what do you like? And there's always an issue asking that, right? Because you don't know, you wouldn't offhand know the terminology of the potentials, right? Like trickery armies, melee heavy, a lot of weird combined functions, like, and the problem is those might not last. There's really cool concepts right now with the Genestealer cult, because Genestealer cult sits between Tyrannid and Imperial Guard and can pull from either list to create a list. I feel like they're more of a, you're a very serious collector of a lot of things. Genestealer cult would be good as like a mitigation, because at any point the Grotmus detachment could go away, which means you lose access to the Tyrannid army. So that kind of sucks. Oh, nice. Well, I mean, play on tabletop, I don't know if they explain enough. They do at times. I've seen a few episodes where they at least go in a little bit about the feel that the army is able to achieve. At least on the gist level. Like, there's kind of an issue in 40k where so Thousand Suns are supposed to be very elite, have a lot of trickery. But if the codex drops and all the detachments are very straightforward, trickery's gone. So they're going to be very elite. There's going to be no trickery. And you can't like rely, I think, on the flavor remaining. Most people look at it as, well, it's been trickery for a while now, so trickery is probably a thing. But you can also, depending on detachment and what you pick up, go, I don't really care about trickery, and then just play whatever. Like, I played the Hex Warband, the Grotmus detachment. 90% of it wasn't trickery. It was just straightforward. Like, none of the abilities really mattered. Like, I was able to give a Rubric squad Deep Strike at one point. Like, that was the closest thing to trickery that I had access to. You don't want a horde army, so you want an elite army. Do you want a hyper elite army in the form of knights? Or do you want decent elites in the form of, like, Custodes? Or do you want very elite feeling armies, which would be Thousand Suns or Grey Knights? Or the potential at going very elite, but also with the adaptability of having a good bit of units, which would be more the Chaos Space Marine list. I'd say that Death Guard are also mild elite. I feel like Emperor's Children are going to be open to large-scale combat. I don't think they're going to be considered elite. Like, I feel like for the cost of a squad of Rubrics, you could probably take 2 squads of Flawless Blades or some shit. Like, I think they're going to be a little bit hoardish potentially, because they have access to a unit that's very close to a regular legionary, which rubrics don't, Death Guard don't. We have to take very elite squads with a lot of characters. So if you're not looking for horde, well, that's the thing. How are you planning on collecting is the trick. Because if you're into Grey Knights, you would just start purchasing stuff. At this point, the ideal for you would be to get the combat patrol and figure out if your local groups will do, if you have any, will go into combat patrol functions with you. Because if they're going to hit combat patrol, then you'll at least start getting used to the rules while thinking about how to play. And then, like my Thousand Sons, you'll eventually collect enough stuff that I can run a Magnus and heavy elite with all sorcerers and crazy amounts of rubrics team, or I can go over to the Zangors, I can do more enlightened, I can do more cultists, I can do more vehicles. I can kind of adapt it the way I feel, and that's down the road for a lot of people. When you start with the bare bones and build from that, it does feel a little different. Also, ooh, that's good. I do have a large group as well, although the one that I tried to go to yesterday that I heard was large, and it's a core of one of the strongest East Coast US like play scenes. Like some of the people from that group are top in the country. And I was like, oh, they're doing events on Wednesday. Let me go check it out. No one showed. So I don't know what that is. I think the two stores that are down there, I think they all prefer the other store that's an hour away from me instead of a half hour. So I don't know if I want to keep trying over there. And I'll just stick with my other large group that's to the north instead. There's some good top players over there. I think one of the players who doesn't really come into the store as often anymore because of his work, he hits as many tournaments as he can. He's like one of the top Necron players on the East Coast now. They do, but they don't use it. So they have a channel on that Discord that's like Warhammer 40k. It's a tabletop gaming, 40k, Age of Sigmar. They have all those things. And I popped in there the day before the event, and I was like, so who's going to that event? No one said anything. I was like, well, maybe they don't use it. And I showed up, and no one was there. And I was like, this is weird. They have a Facebook group. But that Facebook group, every time I go to it, I hate how Facebook groups work. I genuinely hate how they work. Because most people will lean into them as like, hey, man, I'm looking for a game. Does anyone want to join? But that happens in a feed. So you lose that. Like someone will say that, and then the next person will be like, hey, what do you guys think about Grey Knights? And then, like, it'll go up, and then this person who's like looking for a game is all the way at back. No one really knows that there's someone looking for a game because it's not organized. And then occasionally the people in those feeds that I'll catch will be like, hey, who wants to play a game today? And I'm like, oh, I do. And I could probably get there in time. And then I click it, and it's like posted 2 hours ago, and the person's like, I'll be there in 5 minutes, and I have about 2 hours to play. And I'm like, you asshole. Like, come on. Oh, yeah, we have a lot of tourneys in the area. The one I use for the group up north does. This one only has the Facebook group. They don't seem to have a Discord. The last time I asked them for their Discord, they linked me to the store one, because they're supposed to work out of that store, but the store is in 2 locations. There's the one that's an hour away, the one that's a half hour away, and I think they all go to the one that's an hour away. And I do not want to drive an hour for like one game, because that's a whole day gone for one game. Whereas at the other store, it's a half hour to get there, and my friend lives near there, and that's like there's all positives to that way. But like that one is a Warhammer store, and Warhammer stores are like a little weird about consistent player bases coming into the store and like taking up space. There's kind of like this fight going on between the corporate side of Games Workshop and then like the nerd side of Games Workshop, where the nerds want to all show up with like all of their cool stuff and their carts and like all the tournament goodies they have. and like, you know, special prints of terrain for the fields that's more tournament related, and they want to practice. But then they get there and the store owner's like, well, you got to use our terrain because that's what we're told you have to use. And they do watch the cameras, so, and you can't have the carts out because it's like a fire hazard and a tripping hazard, and we don't want this place to feel like a club. This is a store. This is where people go to learn about the game. The whole approach from Games Workshop is that they want you to go there, go like, yeah, and then meet some people, and then find out that the one or two of those people have a really nice basement that they turned into a place to play, and then that's where you go play. But our store is at least kind of cool because the owner's like, he knows most of the people who show up, and he's all about it. And we're all decently nice, so whenever someone comes in and starts asking about the game, we'll literally drop our game halfway through and just like walk over and start talking people through stuff if he needs help. Like, we don't care. So, okay. I feel like we're in for a Magnus. We might as well be in for an Ahriman. But yeah, if you want to start Grey Knights, I think Grey Knights are going to be cool. I think they're a lot stronger than people give them credit for. Also, you could technically have access to the Agents of the Imperium, although I don't know for how long. I don't know how that's going to last. But Agents of the Imperium right now have Grey Knight stats in their codex, so you can use Grey Knights in one of those detachments. But Grey Knights are cool. I like their general idea of them, that they're all like teleporty and weird. Ooh, the Leviathan box. Yeah, we'll go Ahriman, and I think I'll do a reactive flamer squad with him. And it's going to be full size. Technically, I only have 2 flamer squads because I stupidly didn't build the way that I was supposed to. I was going to build, for every one rubric squad of bolters with the chain cannon, I was going to build 1 flamer squad, like full flamers. And I was going to keep doing that. But then the last 2 that I built, I was like, I'm going to go all bolters. I don't know why. I don't know why my brain did that. I don't know why it thought, hey, this will work. Because guess what? No, I really should have went 3 full squads flamers, 3 full squads bolters with chain cannons, the Soul Reapers. Are you just buying random stuff? Like you've got Space Wolves, you've got, oh, maybe Space Wolves are cool. I mean, you're my arch enemy, but Space Wolves are cool. Everyone loves Vikings. I almost, if Votann came out at the exact moment I decided to start getting back into 40k, I would play freaking dwarf friggin' Vikings. Like, I'd be there. That would be my life. Dwarf Vikings. All right, so we'll go Ahriman on foot. What is this? Oh, word. He is going to need rubrics. So the question. What's the points values here? $200. So technically it's a savings of 10 points? No. It's a savings of 20 points, right? Because technically it should be 220 if you go up, and it's only 200. So it's a savings of 20 points to go to a full-size squad. Oh, my Emperor's Children are going to have... Apparently, Emperor's Children has a lot of firstborn stuff. I mean, you could build a fun Fabius Bile list. Fabius Bile, the Grotmus Fabius Bile list is actually kind of cool. How does this work? See, this is what they need. Jesus Christ. This is what the freaking Games Workshop app needs. Is the ability to just be like, no, yes. Come on. Warp Flame Pistol. And it moves it so it doesn't leave it here and then yell at me. Oh, man, this is so cool. Where's he? There it is. Icon of Flame. This is called New Recruit. It is on the internet, web browser. You can just go to it. I think I've seen other channels use this in the format we're in right now, where we're, you know, talking about list building. I feel like Frontline Games have maybe used it. So we have 710 points left. We are currently up to 8 Cabal points, which is not great. We need 10. We need 10 more, basically. Let me grab them though. All right, Arimon, where'd I put you? The reason I'm going a full-size squad of flamers with this is because I always try to conceptualize the best outcome for a potential of Overwatch. Because Overwatch is very strong in this game if you have the right unit for it. Like, a lot of Space Marines utilize the Land Raider, what is it, the Redeemer? The one with the 2 flamers on it, because those flamers are insanely good. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This guy out here just buying a bunch of random stuff. Did you see the rumor that there's going to be a Grey Knight kill team coming up? Supposedly it's, what, Grey Knight kill team versus something Corn Demon related? Or Corn... Something corn related. I feel like they said it was corn related. All right. So, Ahriman in. What's the timing for Cabal versus other items? Let me check. Because wording is always very key. Yeah, at the end, this is the problem. At the end of the command phase, which means if I were to give Umbralific to someone, I don't get the benefit once we're in your command phase. So it wouldn't be the end. I couldn't sequence the Cabal and then trigger Umbralific. This is kind of the gamble with Cabal, is that if you think this is going to work and be useful, you use it. If not, you're kind of screwed. Dude, why aren't you playing Space Wolves right now? I mean, you probably don't have what's considered meta, the puppy jail list, where you just have all the really durable wolf things just running around and holding people until they can't take it anymore and then they off themselves. Because that's freaking, like, it's brutal. Oh, nice. I'm hoping I get back into battle reports soon, personally. It'd be nice. Specifically for Kill Team at first. And then maybe we'll look into getting a decent-ish setup to potentially play, like, larger games. Like battle, or like a combat patrols probably at first, and then maybe 40k. I think combat patrols are a good way to start, because those are simple enough that it gets people used to the idea of playing. Because so I've seen a couple different schools of thought here. I've seen people try to go the route of more basic leader units and then more rubrics, right? But I've also seen people go the anvil route of a large squad of Terminators with a Sorcerer Lord with a Umbralific Crystal. Because for those who aren't aware, what you can do with that is you can kind of play this little game of my Terminators start on the field. They're not in reserve. You can just start them on the field. Don't even need to care about it. And in the first turn, if you see a pocket, if somebody doesn't hide something well enough, or like you get a card that's like, be an enemy deployment zone, and maybe they left a chunk of their deployment zone a little too open, or you know you'll have the Cabal points for double move and can easily get into their deployment zone for maximum score. A brick of 10 Terminators with a leader, not scary damage-wise, but against a lot of things, it is probably one of the scariest. There's no way we're killing it in a turn, and it's just going to be back here being annoying and potentially scoring on more stuff, because there is a lot in the rules right now that's like, hold your opponent's hold your opponent's deployment zone, hold a quarter, or hold a far wall. So as long as you can pick them up and place them in a way where it's like, all right, I'm fully in this quarter of the field for engage on all fronts. If I get the do an action against a wall ability, I've got that. If I, like, there's just too much of a list. It's too big of a list of, like, there's reason to put them there. And if your opponent doesn't pay attention to them, which arguably is the right play, don't pay attention to the big brick of Terminators that's well overcosted. Just leave them be and go do other things. I'll probably lose at that point, and I'll just have a cool squad of Terminators in a corner. But I don't know. Maybe it's better to do the Exalted Sorcerer with the... Like, it really is a weighing of options. If I do an Exalted Sorcerer in a Flamer squad... Where we go? So he provides the squad 4+ invulnerable as well as the ability to get resurrected. That's like the big thing for him. You could do a small squad with him, technically. At which point you give it the Umbralific. I don't know. I feel like it's just a stronger option to try to figure out how to get the Infernal Master in. I like the idea that I saw one player have of an Infernal Master, a small squad of rubrics, but in reserve. So that's 3 Cabal points, but you do not get access to it till about turn 3, unless a person maneuvers in a way where you're like, oh, I can deal with this, and then you come in off the table edge in a turn 2, and you like actually take someone out. No, yeah, nice. For a lot of people getting into 40k, like the avenue that everyone thinks is like go to the store or find an online site that gives you 10% off or something. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Go to Facebook. Go to the marketplace on Facebook. Look at your local marketplace on Facebook. There's 9 times out of 10 going to be someone that lives within an hour of you who's like, I'm offloading $1,000 worth of Grey Knights that I purchased that I didn't build, and I want to sell it for $500 just to get rid of it. And you're like, what? You can just do it. There's a bunch of new people to the game who kind of did that. They went on Facebook groups for the local area, and they found a bunch of people who were like, oh, the game was fun, but I don't want to play anymore, so I'm putting up 2,000 points or 5,000 points worth of Tyrannid for like 50% off what you would expect because I need room at my house or whatever. And it's like, oh, sweet. Let me just buy a ton of cool stuff for super cheap. So what's the play, though? What's the play here? Like, we've got the fodder front line. We've got... I think that I feel like that these guys, the Chaos Spawn, are able to do mechanics fairly well. Thankfully, the Thousand Sun version of Chaos Spawn is all about having OC. I don't know if you're familiar with the Chaos Space Marine Codex, but the Chaos Space Marine Codex decided that OC is for babies. So they took it away from their Chaos Spawn, making the Chaos Spawn the least useful 60-point units in the entire army. Yeah, I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. I'm expecting it to happen to the Thousand Suns when the Codex drops. I am. At which point all they're good for is blocking. You're still going to need mechanics units, which will most likely be the Zangor Enlightened, unless we get some cool demon crossover stuff. Right now, what you're seeing, though, is fairly common as a meta Thousand Suns list. Specifically, a 1v1 meta Thousand Suns list. This is why I love team games. Team games, when you do like 3v3, 4v4, you can build fun lists in those. It's so much more freeform, just because if I build a Thousand Suns list for a 1v1 tournament, I'm building it under the assumption that I'm going to be fighting Rushdown Melee, I'm going to be fighting Heavy Horde, I'm going to be fighting Heavy Armor. Like, you have to build the list looking at the missions as well as playing into all possible opportunities of what enemies are going to hit you with. Are you going to get hit with Tyrannid with rushdown monsters? Ooh, that's a rough one because I think they're all T11, and that's annoying as hell. Are you going to get long-range artilleried? Are you going to get a full rushdown Space Wolf? Or are you going to get a full rushdown Gene Stealer cult? That's scary. Like fodder rushdown, heavy rushdown, medium. Like, your list needs to be able to look at that and go, here's my plan. That's what I'm going to do. But then you get multiplayer, where I have a knights list that I use that I consider anti-fodder. So if anyone comes at me with a list that's like, oh, I'm so many infantry units, you're going to have a hard time killing me. You're going to watch me kill you in like 2 turns. I have so much low damage, but ridiculous amounts of shots with the potential of sustained in that list. I could go harder with it, but I don't. I do take a little bit of anti-armor just in case. But like that list that I brought, so if you're familiar with the game, you'll know that one of the worst and most horrifying units for a lot of players is a Necron Wraith unit. It's those like big, tanky, meaty vehicles that are very hard to kill. Not vehicles, but like they're just big people, big things. They're hard to kill, they're tough as hell, and they just go places and sit there. They're not great at damaging things, although they have lethal hits if you go a certain path with them somehow, and that's not that bad. But like the trick with them is that they just go places they'll last maybe 3 turns. I downed one of those squads in a turn, along with a Scorpek Destroyer squad in a turn. I was able to kill both squads 1 turn with this army because of the sheer weight of attacks that I was unloading on them. I then got teleported on with a monolith because, I mean, you can't really screen with this army, which sucks. But he teleported on me with a monolith. He dropped the largest squad of warriors in my back line, and I killed them in a turn. Like, every warrior was dead instantly. He thought they were going to survive. Like, he mapped it out in his head. He was like, at least maybe a quarter of them will live. I'll be able to block any charges on the monolith. It'll be fine. I wiped him out completely. It's such a good kill whole squads of like 20 dudes units. It's so good. But in tournament play, it's garbage. It can barely achieve goals. And if I go up against armor, I'm not having a good time. So it's like, eh. But in a 4-player match, the first tournament victory I could have had, I had stolen from me because the person I was playing against didn't know how the rules were working. So, you know, he kind of ruined it. He ruined my moment. He was playing orcs. He was playing Green Tide Rushdown. I think it was Bully Boys. So it wasn't full tide. It was like half tide. But he had some like durable units that I was able to easily kill whenever they popped out. And I was just ripping into him, but he still beat me by like 4 points. But turn 4, maybe 5, I think it was turn 4, was when I realized he was rolling his leaderships wrong, and most of his army was probably battle shocked the entire game. So I was really pissed about that. Because you're not capturing points with Battle Shock. You're not performing missions with Battle Shock. Also, I was pretty sure that his orcs were in melee with me, and I'm pretty sure cleanse at the time didn't allow you to cleanse things if you were in melee. Thousand Suns were always a thing for me. I played back in 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and around the time of 5th was when they started opening the codex up to allow you to take more elite units as like regular units. Before, I don't know how familiar you are with 40K's history. There used to be things called force organization charts in 40K where you would have, I think it's 2 HQs, six troops. I think it was like 3 elites, 6 troops, 3 fast attacks, and 3 heavy supports. I'm trying to remember if there was something else on that list I'm forgetting about. Sometimes, depending on your army, they would be like, oh, remove the fast attacks, add that to the heavy support or something. Like, they allowed you to expand, and that the way it worked for balance was they went, you have to bring 2 troops and 1 HQ. That was the bog standard of a list. Currently, in 40k, as you know, you just need to take 1 HQ that's your warlord, and then everything else is whatever you want. So, very weird now for balance. It's a little bit different than what you would expect. But back then, the issue was rubric marines were elites, and regular Chaos Space Marines were kind of expensive. So there was this like kind of BS level to it. I didn't have demons, so I couldn't like do that. And I think even they were elites. They were like different. I don't think they were troops. They might have been. But I think around 4th or maybe 5th, they were like, all right, look, Khorne Berserkers are troops. Rubrics are troops. Noise Marines, troops. Like, they made the faction-specific units troops. So at that point, you could go, oh, I'm going to go a specific faction. I chose Thousand Sons because I loved the idea at the time that the lore was the way they worked is that a sorcerer was, still a dude, still a person. And that all these guys are golems. They're just the souls of people trapped inside those shells. And that the sorcerer is kind of like the thing that's keeping them together and keeping them doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it was this notion of like an advanced type of necromancer army. Because necromancer is usually like, oh, this is the necromancer. Admech is necromancer. At least Horus Heresy Admech. It doesn't feel as much that way with the new Admech, but Horus Heresy Admech feels like a necromancer surrounded by undead. But this is kind of that, but with the advanced of, oh, it's golems. So I was like, that's awesome. I love that. I love the concept of golems. Not only that, but they worked really well alongside some of like the weird stuff I was taking. I took 2 Defilers and 3, I want to say, Dreadnoughts at the time. So it was 2 Defilers, 3 Dreadnoughts. I think I had 3 squads of Rubric Marines. And then I had a leader that I really souped up. There was a fun concept in 3rd, 4th, and 5th did this entirely. So you know how we have equipment now? You had War Gear before. And I think War Gear still kind of existed in 8th, right? I'm not sure. I came back at the end of 9th. So I'm not too sure what happened with 8th. So War Gear back in the day was just a list with points values. And then tournament play claimed you can take, I think, like 100 points of War Gear or something. It was always a specific amount of War Gear. And it always counted against your total score. All that stuff. Chaos had War Gear and Chaos Enhancement. And there was a ruling that said Chaos Enhancement wasn't counted against War Gear. So you could give a leader like Lightning Claws, Twin Link them, or I know they were Twin Link. So you could Mastercraft the Lightning Claws, which gave you 2 rerolls in the hit phase. You could just give them better like invulnerables and stuff. You could soup them up a lot. And then you would go into the Chaos mutations. And apparently after you got past a certain point on the Chaos mutation tree, you had to like increase the base size of the unit and sort of turn it into a Demon Prince. Because it was like +1 wound, +1 strength, +1 toughness, wings. Like you would give it all these mutations and you could give it all of them. It was like 120 points of mutations. So I had a leader that was worth more than Abaddon in points. And did more than Abaddon in combat. But you had to make him huge. Like, you had to actually put him on, like, a Demon Prince size base. So, that was my army. Was one guy who was really freaking strong. 2 artillery defilers who were actually designed to be melee. Back then, you could actually give them an extra 2 melee weapons to give them an extra 2 attacks. And I didn't really care about the sidearm guns because you could either fire the battle cannon or the guns. You couldn't fire both. So battle cannon all the time, and indirect too. Indirect was actually fun at the time because it was all about guessing distances. And people who knew how to do it were always better than people who didn't. And it was actually kind of a fun trick to know the distances, because you knew the size of the field you were playing on, and you could easily determine to almost the ½ inch exactly where you wanted to shoot, which was hilarious to me. And then I had 3 dreads, 2 of which were melee and 1 of which was ranged. Because the dreads actually berserkered back then when I was playing. I think it was like 4th edition dreads berserked. It was either that or 5th. You had to roll a d6 every time the round started for every dread you had, and it would either double shoot the closest visible target or charge towards the nearest enemy target using run. So you could move 6, roll a d6 to add to that, and then still charge. And he would get like double his attacks or something. It was so stupid. They were so cool. Or they would work as intended, and you didn't get any fun bonuses. So we could go more mechanics here, but I don't want to. Again, we're at 710 points left for funsies. On average, it's about 300 points for another large squad of sorcerers. Like a squad of rubrics with sorcerers. There's always the concept of an exalted sorcerer on disc. This is usually a great mechanics unit because on its own, it's very durable. It can go fun places. Usually, it's probably a good idea to make this your Lord of Forbidden Lore target, because he'll be able to go places to get sight on stuff that maybe one of your backline units can see, or even your even friggin' Magnus. And then you have your Mutilith Vortex Beast nearby, so that whatever's on the back line gets a 36-inch Doom Bolt. And then this little guy can kind of like cycle to a place he needs to be to get some missions done, and then Doom Bolt. Because even if he has to perform an action, he can still Doom Bolt. It's an ability at the top of the phase. I'm pretty sure. Because I think... What's current for actions? What's currently the limit for it? I might need to pull up the frickin' tournament packet for how to do actions. Torm Field Manual. Companion. Here we are. Each action states which unit can perform it when started, completed, blah, blah, blah. Unit cannot start or perform an action if one or more of the following has occurred. Battle shocked, aircraft, objective control of 0, and within engagement of one or more enemy units, unless Titanic. Which, that's pretty neat. It advanced or fell back. It is not eligible to shoot this phase, including units that have already been selected to shoot this phase. So it can use abilities. So technically, yeah, he could be a target of the Doom Bolt source. No problem, while still performing actions, which could be very useful. This is nice. I completely forgot about this, because my Knights list has 2 Titanic units. At which point I could just be in combat with something on an objective and then start performing like cleanses and stuff. It means I can't shoot with some of their guns, but at least I'm getting actions done and still killing stuff, hopefully. And probably the biggest value to having an Exalted Sorcerer on disc is it's 115 points without the need for rubrics to support it. Like, you don't want to support it with rubrics. think the issue is you might need a rhino, though. I don't like the idea of a rhino. It doesn't feel good. Because if I take a rhino and something's in a rhino, I lose the Cabal points, which is insane to me, by the way. The fact that the rhino is on the field should allow the units inside to trigger the Cabal points. I don't know why that's not the case. I get that it might be a balance thing, but like, ugh, so gross. Then again, I mean, what's the counter to it? You take something like, probably these, right? Yeah, I think you take these. You take frigging 3 of these and 3 of... Where are they? These. And then you throw them in a rhino. And then you're just churning Cabal points that are safe inside a rhino. And if anyone gets near it, you have 2 Infernal Masters that are going to unload some pretty serious artillery on them. .46 heavy flamer. Ugh. Gross. That's the trick. A big list I've seen historically uses a Demon Prince with wings as a standalone for mechanics. The Demon Prince with wings is definitely a bit more in cost than a Exalted Sorcerer on disc, but the benefit you get is constant uppy downy, like the constant potential of uppy downy, which having that on the field is a threat in of itself, because that basically goes, hey, you need to screen your side or I'll be able to get points, which forces opponents to leave a lot of units back, and if they don't invest in fodder units to screen, then it's not good.
My issue with the Demon Prince with wings is he has a cool ability that is super limited. So 11-inch move, which is nice. It's not a full 12, which is weird. But he has an ability called Aether Stride. No, other one. Where's the other one? Here it is. Sorcerer's Fire. So at the end of each time this model ends a normal move, you can select one enemy unit it moved over this phase to roll 96 for each 6. The combo here, because of how this all works, is to move 11 inches to get right near a squad and then target this unit with the double move ploy or Cabal, which allows this unit to then normal move over top of the unit that it's near, doing the 9d6 potential for 1 mortal, but on 6s. This is the problem. It's 9 dice looking for 6. Maybe at best you get 1 to 2 mortals. Maybe you spike your rolls and it's good, but 1 to 2 mortals doesn't feel good when you realize that double moving like that means this thing cannot charge into melee, where within any actually of the overarching detachments, these things get enhanced. They're both psychic. So if I'm like, hey, dev wounds active, this will have dev wounds on it. I'll be able to do 3 dev wounds for every 6 I roll. Like, why would I go, I'll just Infernal Cannon, you know, with its decent heavy bolter stats, but no psychic keyword. If this was a psychic keyword, I wouldn't feel so bad about it. But since it's not a psychic keyword, which is, again, very weird to me, I don't feel like this ability has a lot of value. Because, again, it's normal move. If you fall back, that's not a normal move. So there's no go into combat and then in a later turn fall back over top of them to trigger this. You can't do it. You have to normal move. Which is a little sad, a little annoying. He has 2 Cabal points, though, and he will probably just sit back and chill. Because the whole point of what you're seeing before you right now is that this is reactionary. Do I have a unit to show this off? I do. The whole point of this setup, this is Thousand Suns Castle. If a unit goes, I want to get to the meaty potatoes over here, right? It can't. It has to stop here. Yeah? So it has to try to kill these things, which technically you don't want to do. But also you kind of do, because regardless of what happens, next turn, fall back an inch, move up the flamers, unload the flamers. Like, that's the strategy of the castle, is to try to position in such a way where even if, like, let's say you have fly, there's no way you're going to land here because you're going to land too close to these guys, which means you can't. So a lot of it does come down to measuring and being like, all right, well, your jump pack troopers can move 12. Well, maximum of 12 is going to literally be on top. If you have advance and charge function, you put it further back. So like even up to about maybe 4 or 5 inches, we'll put them here. That way it's just impossible. And then you, of course, I mean, you've got 10 guys to play with here. You can spread them out, create like a nice little pocket of you can't land here situation. And then that's it. You have to try to figure out how to contend with potential of up to 60 flamer shots, but probably closer to about 30 or 40 flamer shots that are just gonna cook you at bonuses to AP, +1 to wound. Like this you don't want to stand near. I think someone just rang the doorbell upstairs. So give me a second. But yeah, this is where we get to... I feel like this is kind of the core. We could shave out one squad of Chaos Spawn if we need to. But I feel like this is where we get to player expression. That's where we're at. So how do we express ourselves? Again, everyone says they're overcosted, and I am inclined to agree. We could even go a larger squad. Although math-wise, most people say just take 5 and don't even take a leader for them. Because what you're looking at is technically... Go up 1. So 380 plus... Where is he? 115. So 495. So 495 out of 710 points to create an anvil that kind of an anti-infantry hammer. Kind of. There's also potential at being technically anti-heavy because of specifically the Terminator Sorcerer Lord. The Terminator Sorcerer Lord provides the squad with lethal hits, which that's pretty good when you have that many shots. Granted, the damage is all still 1, which kind of sucks. AP is 1, which isn't that bad. It's not the worst. The leader himself, this is why I hate kind of the design of how this army works. So if he's in a squad, he provides everyone lethal hits. This is kind of a game right now where I can't declare that I don't want to use this. When you roll the 6 to hit, it triggers. You do not have an option. I can't go, I'd rather get around the lethal hits and do something else. No. So lethal hits here, but then anti-monster, anti-vehicle dev wounds. Now, mercifully, minus 3 AP. That's really good. So if you lethal hit with it, you at least still have a really good shot at doing the 2 damage to one of these. Conceptually, I have put the +1 damage on this guy before. This is very scary into vehicles and monsters. Problem is it's still only 3 attacks, which kind of sucks. The trick with kind of having him and this squad in this list is it adds a thing that is considered to be sort of like attack efficiency, which isn't necessarily useful. So here, check this out. So a key thing that the Sorcerer Lord is able to do is to mark a target for rerolls of 1s to hit. This is very useful with the Zangors. This is very useful with the Chaos Spawn. The thing is, neither the Zangors or the Chaos Spawn are people that I'm looking at to go, I need them to kill stuff. I do not care about them killing stuff. That is not the way I want to go. What it's also useful for, though, is the MVB. The MVB's abilities are all 3+ to hit, except for the dual flamer thing that he has. But his super spit, which is one of the hardest hitting attacks in the game. It is insane how powerful it is. Let's... For the uninitiated. One attack, that's a problem. 3+ to hit, that's also a problem. Usually if you really want this to go through, you're going to need a command point on hand to get the reroll in. It's actually pretty good, though, to target the unit you want to kill with the ability that the Chaos Terminator Lord has, the Scarab Occult Terminator Lord. Because then it's hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. It's a bit better. I feel like 9 times out of 10, when I do this, I always roll a 2. So, But strength 18. You don't see this number that often. Very few weapons in the game go, hey, I'm strength 18. It's like, oh. I remember the look. Okay, one tournament. I lost this game, but it was probably a very fun game for me. Even though I got ripped apart in turn 2. Turn 1, I killed a Canis Rex. So I fired the first time with this on the Canis Rex, and I hit him on a 3. And he was like, all right, T12. And I went, yep, strength 18. And he went, what'd you just say? I was like, strength 18. He was like, oh, what? It wasn't connecting in his head. He's not been attacked by most things in the game that have a strength 18 weapon. And he was like, okay. And I was like, it's also dev wounds. And as I said that, I rolled a 6. So like, and he was like, oh, hopefully, what is it, D6 damage or something? I was like, yeah, +6. He was like, what? So I rolled a 6. So I hit him with 12 damage as an opening attack from a Mutilith Vortex Beast. And he was like, oh my god, this is going to be rough, isn't it? And I was like, maybe. I mean, it's pretty swingy whether this works or not. And proceeded to do the exact same thing with the second one I shot at him. It was so bad, dude. But this is not something you rely on, especially if you only have one MVB. It's really good, but again, you don't really want to rely on it. But if you take a Terminator Lord, the chance to combo is really strong. The thing is, if I go this Terminator Lord, I think I go a regular Demon Prince to support my backline. Because Demon Princes, like regular ones, a lot stronger than you would expect. Like, they're +1 toughness over the wings. They don't get the ability to uppy downy, but I feel like if I'm doing this with the Terminators, the goal is to Umbralific with them. What you can do with the Umbralific, which is nice, is I can leave these guys in reserve, drop them on the field in turn 2 for a deep strike attack, and then in the following turn, Umbralific them somewhere else. So I can have a Terminator squad that does get downy in turn 2 and then uppy downy in turn 3. Which is something I've always wanted to do, personally. But what does that look like in points? We can always delete it. Feed. So Scarab Occult Terminators in. They are 160, which means 320 if they go up. Oh wait, no. Where'd they go? Oh, there they are. 190, which would mean 380 if they go up, but I think you get a discount. Nope, no discount. 0 discount, boys. And then Thousand Sun, Sorcerer, and Terminator armor. So we go full count. We also go full count Soul Reaper. Terminator. Okay, 1, 2. Part of me wants to go Flamers, though. I kind of like the idea of the Flamer. What was the statting on it? I mean, you lose the dev wounds, which you don't want to do. Also, where is it? Where are they? Does anyone see the missile rack on here? I don't see the missile rack. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I'll put it in the act. Oh, here we are. Hellfire missile racks. I think you can put these on the backs of the Soul Reaper cannons. I didn't actually do that, sadly. There were people who suggest doing it because then you have like the one guy that matters to hold on to for a while. Although I don't know. I think that works properly. I didn't do it, though, sadly. I probably should have. I still could, technically. Because I did magnetize them to the backs. I could just glue them on the other ones. Say, screw it. Okay. So that leaves us 215 points, which I'm not happy with. Because I think I have to take a Demon Prince on foot at this point. Because not only that, but where is he in the character tree? Thousand Suns Terminator Lord. He would get Umbralific for the double uppy downy. Bringing me to 195 points, which is just enough to grab that and another upgrade. So here's the issue. We'll put it all in. We'll chuck this all together. Does he have a Copish? No. So that's that. Demon Prince. One of these guys, I think he has to take the Lord of Forbidden because he's the only other one on the field. Which he can't. 2010. Which means we would drop a squad of... Oh, this sucks. Because you would drop a squad of Chaos Spawn. But then what do you add? Because you can't add anything. Like, that's the problem. I'd have to drop 2 squads of Chaos Spawn for something potentially else. Which is fine. It lowers the amount of lures we have. But maybe we just go hard into mechanics with, technically because they're 10 points off, right? In theory here, I could stop and then do, because he's got Lord. Where are they? Enlightened. Boop. So we have 1 serious mechanics unit. 2 mild mechanics unit, but mostly blocking units. So let me toss this on the field. And then we'll talk about it. Personally, mostly for my own, like, ability to focus, I guess. When I go with a mechanics enlightened unit, I always go spears. Because the last thing I want to do is to be like, oh, let me shoot that guy with these bows, and then completely forget that I needed to do an action, and then I just have, like, I don't get the points. Second Hellfire rack. Second Reaper or Soul Reaper. So here's the problem. Wait, do I have a demon? Oh, yeah, Demon Prince. So conceptually, this is not the worst. The problem is the Demon Prince is the one with the Lord of Forbidden Lore, so he is going to need to be near the Mutilith Vortex Beast, most likely along with Ahriman, which isn't the worst. I do prefer Chaos. I like Votann as a concept. I'm not all that into the Imperium. I don't like just the general visual aesthetics. I get it, and it's cool. I mean, it's nice. So at most I have 13 Cabal points, but I will most likely be missing 3 on the field at the top. So I'll have 10, which isn't great, because then I don't get a Doom Bolt and a double move. I only get like a Doom Bolt and then a reroll, or a double move and a free ploy. 6, 7. Oh, I do get a Doom Bolt and a free ploy. That's good. I like the concept of Chaos. I like the aesthetic of it because it feels like that split between sci-fi and fantasy. Like, it's perfect, right? Space Marines, pure sci-fi. Chaos, sci-fi fantasy. Like, for Christ's sakes, we have Zangors. Lore dump. Apparently there's a quote in a book where Abaddon says that the greatest artisans that build the best Gothic ships in all of the Chaos fleet, Zangors. So here's the issue with this. It's not the worst. It's decent. So the 3 Enlightened we have over here. Decent movement. You know, actually pretty good movement. Able to do mechanics. They are 2 OC apiece, I want to say. Yep, 2 OC apiece. So 6 OC for a 3-man squad. They're mildly durable. Not great, though. Not without a leader. A shaman would give them Feel No Pain 5-up on top of everything, as well as +1 to hit, which is really good. But, I mean, you're not really killing a lot of stuff with these guys. You usually need to go a full-size squad of archers with a shaman if you want to be effective. Because that's basically 6 autocannons, almost. Like, they're not quite the strength of an autocannon, but they've got the damage potential. It's more on the lethal hits than anything else, as well as the fact that there's precision involved. The trick here is positioning with this guy. The Demon Prince on foot, 4,000 Suns, provides a 6-inch aura, I want to say, as long as everyone has at least 1 base from their unit touching the 6-inch aura around, -1 to hit for incoming attacks, for ranged specifically. So survivability stat goes way up with this guy. When you put like an MVB nearby, when Magnus tries to stay near him, that's everyone in the region -1. So we have to assume that turn 1, I've decided to put the Terminators in Deep Strike. That's the assumption, is that I have put this giant brick of overpriced Terminators in Deep Strike. Let me just move this guy a little bit. So I lose 3 Cabal points right off the rip. If none of my Zangors are standing on an objective, I don't even get the chance at an extra. We're hoping for Automata. The story, the stories, the lore that keeps dropping, and some of the rumors that keep dropping is that the rubrics and all that, well, the Thousand Sons in general, are uncovering some of the old weapons that they used to have, which would be automata, psychic automata. So it would be kind of like a Hellbrute, but not really. Probably a little bit taller, probably a little closer to how the AdMech stuff looks, like the big AdMech units. And they would be psychic in concept. They would probably have decent-ish melee, but would be more about like having an interesting aura or an interesting effect and maybe like a decent ranged ability, maybe a ranged psychic attack. So I think that's what we need. Because honestly, we've got decent enough foot soldiers. We have terrible melee. Some of the worst melee in the game. So like getting better middling melee would be nice. Alternatively, what I would like is sort of like a Cabal of Sorcerers squad. If they're going to make us be stuck with Cabal, I think they need to figure out how to give us a squad of like 3 or 4 dudes where every single character in that squad provides like 1 or 2 Cabal points each. So you can have these like small battery units of Cabal that have to be on the field, who are maybe like middling psychers. Like maybe it's just like 4 warp smites or something. Like it's not incredible, but it's decent. Yeah. And then you can just put them places and make them do your missions while they're providing your team with a good bit of Cabal points to play with. Maybe they're mildly expensive. They wouldn't be fodder costed, but they would be useful, I think. So points wise, that Terminator and that full squad, I'm pretty sure can become 1 rubric squad and leader, and then a small rubric squad and leader. So the difference here is, do I take this, which is going to be an insanely hard to shift on turn 2 unit that'll just drop on the field somewhere and be annoying? That gives me an opening for if I go, like, when do I know if I go first? It's after the setup, right? God, I hate how that works. I wish you knew if you were going first before setting up. But at the same time, there's got to be balance there, right? Like, if you know you're going first, you're going to be as aggressive as humanly possible. The lack of knowledge is what prevents you from putting everything on the middle line and just hoping. But yeah, 3 Cabal points would become 6. And of those 6 Cabal points, 3 would be guaranteed on the table right off the bat. I might even be able to fit in, like, if I drop the other squad of Chaos Spawn and go with another mechanics unit of Enlightened, that could even free up enough points to then take a on-disc frickin' Exalted Sorcerer for another 2 Cabal points. Dude, I'd love some Automata, though. That would make my day. This is a brutal brick of shooting, though. It's 12 shots, potential devs. It's all just 1 damage, which I hate. But in this brick alone of 10, you drop 2 for the Warp Smite that's on the leader. So it's 10 and then this guy. So technically he gets to shoot with them in this fashion because he has the same profile. So you drop 2 guys for that, regain 1, and then lose 1 again for him. So you have 8 people here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, 9. No, 8. That guy's 8 people that within 12-inch range of an enemy, which they deep strike within 9, so it's going to be within 12. They get 4 shots total that are just all lethal hit potential. It's nice. There's good chance of saturating down the squad that they're shooting at pretty well. They also get 2 missile racks, which are actually decent into monsters and vehicles. The leader himself has a good anti-monster, anti-vehicle spell. The ability to mark things for the rerolls of 1s, really good. Solid anti-infantry, middling anti-durable armor / monsters. But I don't know. I don't think it's good enough. Part of me wants to rock the 18-inch alone op on a squad that maybe has bolters in it. It's probably going to be a bolter rubric squad, and then they can go do like mechanics and stuff. Maybe they'll sit back with the Mutilith Vortex Beast to get the 36-inch cast, because if they're 18-inch lone op and they're able to use abilities that are 36-inch in range, I mean, they're just artillerying you. The way it works, too, from what I understand with Cabal, is in a squad with rubrics and a sorcerer, I can declare that this guy is the first one to use the Cabal function, right? The regular squad sorcerer is like, I'm going to use the Doombolt. And then the sorcerer with the friggin' Lord of Forbidden Lore, the actual attached sorcerer, goes, all right, I'm going to use Doombolt. So technically, one small squad of rubrics with one sorcerer sitting next to the Mutilith Vortex Beast, kind of back a little bit, is 18-inch lone op, 236-inch range Doombolt potential. We have the one Ahriman squad meant for the potential of Overwatch, if need be. Maybe we take an Exalted on a disc, and then another squad of rubrics with maybe a, I want to say, Infernal Master who has an Umbralific. It's either an Infernal or an Exalted. Because an Exalted with another squad of Flamers and an Umbralific could be really good. It needs to be a full squad of Flamers, though. I tried a half squad, and oh my god, I hated the half squad. I ran the half squad in on a squad of infiltrators and only killed like 2 out of a full. I think it was like a half size squad or something, or like whatever the basic sized is, and I couldn't kill them all with ridiculous anti frickin' Space Marine attacks. It just didn't work. I was so mad. I don't know. Even though I want to use the Terminators, I don't think I'm going to. I don't even know if I want to use the Demon Prince. I like the idea of the Demon Prince. He does give precision to rubrics. I think he only gives it to their bolters, though. Let me double check. Once per battle at the start of any phase, you can select one friendly Rubric Marine or Scarab Occult Terminator unit within 6 inches of this model. Till the end of that phase, weapons equipped by the models have precision. Oof. I actually might take him. If I'm going to castle, I do think having a on-foot frickin' Demon Prince is nice. I lose the uppy downy from the Winged Prince, unless I figure out how to fit him in. Because constant uppy downy, like I said, is a really good threat for scoring. Yeah, I don't think we go Terminators here. I think Terminators are a dumb idea. I want them to be a good idea. They're a dumb idea. They're probably one of the worst ideas. Even though I could technically, for all of those bolter shots, turn them into psychic, giving them dev wounds and stuff. The problem is still that the leader of the squad is lethal hits. So even if I give them dev wounds, if I get a really good spike on the first roll, I lose a lot of attacks, which I think is really stupid. So we will... We're going to get rid of him. Sag. And then we're going to get rid of them. Sag. The alternatives, though. So I do think we do the Mutalith Vortex Beast Technical Squad, which would be a Source and a squad of Rubrics. Basic sized. He needs Lord of Forbidden. Demon Prince won't have it. He'll just be regular. If I have extra points, I'll give him an extra Cabal point. He doesn't need anything else. Arcane Vortex is nice on these guys, but I honestly think Scrolls would be better here just to have as many points as humanly possible on a guy sitting next to a Mutalith. Because I think, what is it? Can I can't target the same person in the same phase, or is it same round? You know your team ability sucks if it's a whole paragraph. At the end of your command phase, each model from your army with the ability of the battlefield, blah, 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 generates a number of Cabal. Yep, sure, cool. During the battle, you can use rituals from the list below, deducting Cabal points cost each one of your Cabal pool. If you do not have enough Cabal points for a ritual, you cannot use it. Cool. Each ritual can only be used once per phase at the start of your next command phase. Your Cabal point pool reaches 0. Each time you use a ritual, select 1,000 Sunsucker model from your army, excluding models that have already been selected for this rule this turn. Oh, okay. Player turn. It is player turn, though. But this does mean I can't... The mechanic squad sitting next to the MVB can't be like, all right, double Doom Bolt. And then, like, I don't know. In the next phase, chuck something else out there. I mean, it is all like shooting phase stuff. This is shooting. This is opponent shooting. So this would be like the other one. Is that if I, let's say, double Doom Bolt in my shooting phase, and then it goes to enemy shooting phase, and I look at them, I'm like, oh, I'm going to take a lot of damage here. I could technically put double Weaver of Fates on that same squad in that turn. That way I have two 36-inch armor save rolls just sitting in an area. I think it could be good. I think a mechanic sorcerer unit is nice, actually. So, sorcerer, Lord of Forbidden. I'm fine with this. This is fine. Sorcerers are actually not something you want to mess with either. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm leaving this entire army on dev wounds for Psychic. 9 times out of 10. It's just going to be dev wounds pretty consistent. This guy provides himself sustained hits 3 on a 2d6 attack that hits on 2s. This is a very scary spell. Now, granted, probably won't do much, but I feel like almost every single time I've ever used a Fires of the Abyss from a sorcerer, I've always rolled at least 10. And then when I've rolled to hit, I've hit with everything, and I've crit with at least 3 attacks. Upping that pretty drastically. Like, this is squad killing for fodder. It's so good. Then you also have to factor in the rerolls of wounds. It's all there, man. If you get crits on that, it's +1 to the AP. 1 damage sucks. Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. But yeah, he gets the 18-inch lone op. He provides lethal hits, which I don't necessarily think flamers are not like... I don't think bolters are good on rubrics, but I only have 2 squads of flamers and 4 squads of bolters. So I do feel like him in the back with a squad of bolters is nice, because then the bolters are firing at, I think, 24 inches, which is much further than 18, and they would get lethal hits. And it's just, fun little thing. Fun little thing. So 5 rubrics. These guys will be Inferno Bolt Guns, not Warp Flames, Soul Reaper Cannon, -1 there. The leader is probably fine with an Inferno Ball. Yeah, we'll just leave him Inferno Ball pistol. Screw it. And Icon of Flame. So let me get this together. Sorry, Terminators. I really want to use you one day, but I think I need the Codex before then, and I think you're going to need a points drop before then. There's got to be a detachment that's straight up like you want Terminators. Even if it's like you want MSU Terminators. I will gladly field a Terminator Lord with a small squad of Terminators and then 3 small squads of Terminators. If it was worth it. I would do that and then run like Zangors and stuff. Alright, we're looking at Psyker. Just a regular old sorcerer. Drop him back by the MVB. This is a synergy not a lot of lists use. They prefer to be like more upfront and aggressive. I'll use my skull rubrics. My ghost skulls. Lunop MSU unit. Or just a small unit in general. This isn't an MSU strategy. MSU is everyone small. Leaves us 305 points. That's a bit problematic. I kind of want to keep... Yeah, I kind of want to keep the Demon Prince in. -1 to hit's great, unless my opponent's like, hey, I have all of these Whirlwinds, and then it's pointless. He's also... I don't want to build for the enemy I'm about to fight. I'm pretty sure he's playing Space Wolves. So the -1 to hit from Stealth is only going to be useful for whatever ranged attacks he brings, which is probably only going to be like 20% of his list. Everything else is going to be like, it's on the back of a wolf and it hits like a truck. And I'm like, all right, cool. Stealth doesn't work here. So that's great. But, I mean, he's still a Thousand Suns Demon Prince. He's still formidable in combat if he needs to be. He still kind of has a really good heavy bolter profile on his gun. So even if I'm shooting from ranged, it's not the worst. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be useful because I think he's going to try to get Magnus in his line of sight to shoot at. And if Magnus is like, I'm durable, I have great save and invulnerable, and you're -1 to hit against me, I think that's really good. But we have 305 points. We could... Sorcerer on disc this. How much is a sorcerer on disc? Because I could almost double sorcerer on disc. 115 each. I could up this to 315 extra by dropping another one of the Chaos Spawn and replacing them with Enlightened. We currently have my Lord of Forbidden Lore on the field. We also have my Demon... Actually, let me take a look at something. Yeah, you have to select a 1,000 Sun Psyker model. So there are 2,000 Sun Psyker models in my Sorcerer squad, which is good. And let me just double check the wording on Umbralific. If it's unit or model specific. Yep, model only. Or not Umbralific. The bearer can be selected. Yep. So yeah, that Sorcerer squad can double cast. Nice. Pew pew. So I'm at 12 Cabal points. Oh no, the music. Those are good. But okay, so mechanically speaking, the archers Angors, you need to take a shaman with them. It gives them +1 to hit. It makes them actually reasonably good at shooting stuff. He also gives them the 5+ feel no pain, which on top of their invulnerable and their speed, fantastic squad. And if your opponent doesn't have a lot of tanks to keep their characters protected, you could rip characters out of squads. Like, it is insane. I've done incredible things with the Zangors. Actually, the last game I played where I used a full squad of them and a shaman, I told my opponent about it, and he was like, yeah, I think I'll be fine. And then he moved his stalwarts up, and they had a leader in them that was like really useful for that squad. And he was like, oh, I gotta take this objective, so he went on to it, and then I just popped my Zangor Enlightened out and took his leader out of that squad instantly. And he was like, oh, there goes all the good benefits I had in that squad. I was like, yeah, that's how that works, man. You don't... Friggin', you know where the Zangor Enlightened are. You know that they're, what, 30, 32, 36 inch range. I think they're 30. I think it's straight 30, right? Like, they can see stuff. And they do basically slightly less strong autocannon damage and can target your leader. Don't mess with me. Lethal hits, let's go. I'm personally using Enlightened with spears because I only want them for mechanics. The whole problem with bows is I really want to use the bows. But if I have spears, I can't. So I'm completely fine with just a squad of 3 with spears to go around and screen or do an activity on a side or go to an objective and take it from someone, because 2 OC each is actually better than you think. This feels like the right music for this. So we have 305 or potentially 315 points. This is where I go crazy, and I get a disc and another Mutilith Vortex Beast. I don't think I can fit him, though. $115. Wrong area. $160. $275. I could. No, yeah. So that's why I'm kind of hoping sadly, I only have one full-size squad of archers, and then I have one full-size squad of spears. I think spears could be good because of the lance ability. Lance and precision. I think they're a great intercept unit if they have a shaman at the helm, because then it's hitting on 3s. with precision lance against leaders with good damage lines. That's the blue scribes. Those are demons specifically, although we should be getting them directly in the codex based on all the rumors. And you need to bring blue horrors right now to bring that squad. I was thinking of going mechanics, but we are trying to lean into Cabal points, because mechanics would be like a squad of blue horrors and then a single changeling here. That would be pure mechanics. And I've had that squad do work. Frickin', I have had my changeling shut down shooting for an enemy target in a turn. Since you get to pick a target at the top of the enemy shooting phase and roll a dice and see what happens. It's either like -1 to hit, or the enemy can't shoot, and I rolled a 6, so I literally turned off a predator for a turn. It was crazy. Oh no, I was playing an Eldar player. I turned off a, I want to say a wave serpent. He had a wave serpent. I was just like, I can't shoot for this turn. No. So we need another leader. I have 4 characters so far. Oh, I hate it. If I take one more character, it gives rise to the idea that my opponent could go with the assassination and then engage on all fronts combo. I am not here for. Because that's 4 points each, I think. Right? Assassination is 4 per. Yep, 4 per if you don't get it randomly. So we don't have Uppy Downy. Whoever we're grabbing is probably going to need to take the Umbralific. Yeah, I really don't have mobility. Again, the alternative is the freaking Thousand Suns Demon Prince with Wings for permanent Uppy Downy at 180. And then a Thousand Suns Exalted Sorcerer on disc for 115. Which I think works. 285, right? Yeah. No. 295. I think that's exactly right. But then I don't get Umbralific, which is fine because I would have it built in. Sort of. It's like the garbage version on the Demon Prince with Wings. I don't know if I like that. I feel like having that in the pocket. Ooh, actually. Ooh. So here's the thing. A flavor I do like, and this leans a little bit into what you're talking about, is to actually go the full squad of archers with a shaman, with an Umbralific. Let me show you why. So it's super mechanical. How did the tip of this dagger paint chip? What the hell? So the trick here is if I want to stall my opponent, if I take first activation turn 1, you can umbralific these guys, especially if I get like one of those hold center things, right? I could umbralific them, drop them as close to the center as I possibly can to guarantee that I get the points. And then I could spend, in the shooting phase, 5 Cabal points to give them a free move on top of it, which you would then use, because I think, what's the limit? There's a limit for coherency. What's the coherency limit? Let me look this up. It's important. It's key. Coherency. Unit coherency. Horizontally. When does the trigger change? While a unit has 7 or more, all of the models instead must be set up within 2 inches horizontally, 5 inches, at least 2 models. Okay, so this size of a squad is a little bit problematic for this trick, because it is 7 on the dot. But it basically means you have to do like this kind of double layer within 2, basically in the triangle, the whole way across, and then kind of across there as well. So you can kind of spread out utilizing the double move, which gives you your full 10-inch movement, to create a block. And if you do it in a way where you can see an enemy squad that has a leader, you can try to precision the leader to death. Worst case scenario, you have a decent long-range mobile squad that can hold on to the umbralific until a later time where it can go, oh, I need to be there now, and he doesn't have anyone over there, and then you just pick it up and drop it over there. If it's for an action, it's problematic, because then you lose all of this attack potential. But if we were to do that, maybe swap out the other Chaos Spawn with another squad of 3 Enlightened for potential other mechanical stuff. Because then these guys can pocket somewhere, and they're fine. They're fine pocketing and then popping out through a wall, because Chaos Spawn can do that, Enlightened cannot. This is an extra Cabal point as well, unless I do the blink, which sacrificing a single Cabal point doesn't feel that bad. And of course, these little 3-man squads you can spread out for screening, which is nice. Do we go that route? Because this is probably the equivalent points cost of a single rubric squad. At which point I could probably go an Enlightened on disc, depending on how many points we have. We could go Enlightened on disc, or Exalted on disc. Because those are, just one Exalted on a disc is a fantastic mechanics unit. Let me see it. Let's take a look at it. Let's see how that works in the list. So, conceptually, I mean, we'll hold on to this for now, because I'm not that worried about it. But this is where we lean into more Zangor Enlightened. But we go down and all the way up. And we go a Shaman. The Shaman gets the Umbralific. Leaves 135 points, which feels like an Exalted Sorcerer on disc. So 6 Zangor, 90. Shaman, 80. 1 Rubric or 10-man Rubric squad, 200. Now, granted, you're getting a Cabal point out of this and a lot of good weaponry, but you're not getting anywhere near the mobility or you also get better durability over here, but you're not getting anywhere near the mobility or range of a Zangor Shaman and 6 Enlightened. But because these are mounted and not like just beasts or something, this can go through a wall. These guys cannot. So it just depends on how you're going to use it. And I think I could fit this. So this one's fine. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because it goes from 50 to 90. This is a discount increase. I like some of the squads that get discounted as they get to more, because technically the leader in the squad is like, oh, you only still get one of those, but it doesn't really matter here. The leader in the squad doesn't seem to get any other benefits. It's just an AV arc. That's all. Unless it says it gets an extra attack, which I don't think it does. That's only AOS that does that usually. Scroll to the bottom, because that's the only place Enlightened are. Yeah, AV Arc doesn't get any benefits. So I feel like at this point, the Demon Prince I have maybe gets the +1 to Cabal points in the form of scrolls. Oh, I don't know if... So 20 points. So that's 115. Oh my god, it's perfect. Boop. And boop. Welcome to 2K, baby. So this isn't the best for perpetual mechanics. This isn't the best compared to like a Demon Prince with wings being able to just uppy downy all the time, but the survivability is up, in my opinion. So you have these guys as more of like a backline, a spread out, just get some mechanics done situation, or go hunting for leaders. I like precision squads in the current rule set. I do. Because if you get an assassination, and the only unit you have to assassinate is like one dude in a squad of 10, you're probably not going to kill them unless you can bring down the full weight of fire on that squad, which could be a problem because then it's like you have a bunch of people in bad positions. Why would you like want to assassinate? Like, if you spend all of your stuff trying to get that 1 point of assassination and then you're just standing in the open and you're just going to get retaliated against in the next turn, that's terrible. Or you put people in position to be able to attack not just that squad, but other squads, and then attempt to kill the leader with just your bows. And if you can kill the leader with just your bows, all the other people you have on the field can go, oh, now we're going to attack that other stuff, which is great. So there's that. Let's just get these guys, and then one more. A Mechanics Exalted. Because secret, this is infantry. This isn't mounted. He can go through walls. It's probably one of the funniest tricks of keywording that new players to the game don't notice. Ahriman on a disc. Nothing says mounted. He's infantry. He can go through a wall. Exalted. Infantry. He can go through a wall. I think Shaman is the only one. I think Shamans could go through walls. Oh no, it probably doesn't say on a disc. Yeah, he's mounted. Shamans can't go through walls. Neither can Enlightened. Mounted. So what you have here is my 2,000 point list I will be taking to a game tomorrow night. I'm okay only doing the one squad of Mechanics Enlightened and then running the extra frickin' Chaos Spawn. Because Chaos Spawn, like I said, they're a lot more durable. They're a lot more obnoxious. Not only that, but they can go through walls. So technically I have two squads that can prime on one side of a wall to then jump through, grab things, and then just sit there and be like, I'm annoying. Meanwhile, 2 rows of Zangors for fodder for frontline. We've got the MS or the small rubrics with sorcerer for the 18-inch lone op squad that's going to be sitting next to the Mutalith Vortex Beast to have the 2 36-inch rain rituals every single phase. The only amount of Cabal points I lose based on uppy downy is 1 for the sorcerer, for the shaman. Because if he uppy downies, you just lose 1. And that leaves me with 14 Cabal points so long as I haven't lost any leaders. Which, I mean, 14 Cabal points is... I think that's a double Doombolt. That's double Doombolt right off the bat. Turn 1, I will have a 36-inch range double Doombolt. It's not quite what I wanted. I was trying to aim for like 17 or 18 Cabal points. But I feel like if you're going to go that route, you literally... I think you have to just go 2 or 3 squads of friggin' cultists. And then nothing else. Like, that doesn't give you Cabal points. Worst case scenario, my opponent recognizes that I have a single Exalted Sorcerer on disc, and he has indirect and just unloads on him. But that's not... I mean, that sucks. Wait, did it pick up that I did Athean Scrolls? It didn't. Okay. So technically I have 16 Cabal points here. I will have 15 if the little guy leaves. So even if they kill my Exalted Sorcerer, so long as I don't pick up my Shaman, I will have the double Doombolt. I like this. The goal is to, of course, keep Magnus really close to Ahriman. Because if Ahriman needs to attack... I almost don't have to, though. Him being close to... He has to be close to Ahriman. He has to be close to the Exalted on disc. That's like the only thing that matters, really. What else? Does Magnus only do rerolls in shooting, not melee? Because if he gets rerolls in melee as well, then if the Demon Prince is going to go in, he might as well be right there. Looking. Psychic attack. It's add 1 to the hit. Add 1 to the wound. So yeah. As long as he stays close to most of my people. My like front core chunk. Because technically there's not a lot of psychic in this list. I mean, there's the Magnus psychic, which is a ton of psychic. There is the 2 rubric leaders, the sorcerer, Ahriman, his melee, and then him. And then him as well. But honestly, this guy's attack is so bad. It's so bad. Yeah, but here's the list. 2,000 points. It's slightly different than what I've seen. One of the best Thousand Sun lists I've seen doesn't involve any of these guys. It does involve 2 squads rubric or 2 squads Zangs. It usually does involve a full 6 contingent of Chaos Spawn. And then it goes 2 full-size squads of Rubric Marines with Ahriman and an Exalted Sorcerer. I think you get an Exalted on disc, a winged Demon Prince, and then you get a 5-man squad with an Infernal Master, which usually sits in reserve with the damage upgrade. And that gives you, I think, like 19 Cabal points total. I think he gets an extra squad of like small rubrics and something else. But this could do it. I'm going to try. I don't want to just do it to do it, but I'm going to try to see if there's reason with my Zangor Enlightened with bows to early game teleport block. It probably is a valuable concept. I'm just not used to Space Wolves. If he tells me he has like a lot of infiltrate and stuff, I'm going to be a little sad. But because that's like the whole thing. If he plays really far up, I'm going to be like, oh man. But then if he leaves like a really good pocket in the backside that sees into squads that have leaders in them, oh yeah, my shaman's going to vanish and reappear turn 1. Just start unloading into squads with leaders. Pew pew pew. Precision strikes. And then, of course, the combo here that doesn't normally get played because most people take the winged Demon Prince for uppy downy. This guy, as long as he stays within 6 inches of Ahriman's squad, which he's going to have to because of the aura, he's very integral. Like, biggest issue with Thousand Suns, movement. This guy, turn 1, probably going to be plus whatever, 2 move, right? Basic. I have to make sure this is within 6-inch range of everything possible. Like, this is gonna need to be arced in a way where he is guaranteed within 6 of basically the full arc. He is gonna need to be within 6 of the rubric squads. If there's no indirect, it doesn't even matter if there is indirect because the -1 to hit doesn't really matter there. But he can kind of be on his own, just off to the side. These guys don't really matter for the -1 to hit because of the 18-inch lone op. This, if it's visible, will need to be within range. Magnus, 100% is going to need to be within range. So as long as he has all of them within the 6-inch for the stealth, at any point, if these guys are really close to a really big squad of something coming at us that's scary, precision, which means 10 flamers, all precision, with +1 to wound, rerolls, like all this stuff. Just unloading into a squad, trying to kill the leader first. Because people don't know about that precision, man. They don't expect it. Applying it to rubrics, just being like, once a game, precision. He's going to kill your leader. So good. Nice. I like it. I like the list. I'll take some pictures. I'll post it up on the Discord. Wasn't really planning on streaming today. We're trying to work on some videos. I might take a break on the Warp Coven overview video, though, and try to get this Knights video done real quick. Because Combat Patrol just gained 2 different Knight Combat Patrols, Imperial and Chaos. I think they're cool, and I do kind of want to start breaking in a little bit to 40k content. And I feel like people who didn't get the White Dwarf are probably going to be looking for information on those 2 Combat Patrols, because they are nifty. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chilling. Thanks for sort of group thinking this a little. We did kind of end in a way where this feels very standard for Thousand Suns. It's not really that off-putting or different. But I think the Zangor Enlightened with Shaman with Blink is probably, that's probably like my signature here. It's just a fun little way to be like, this could be interesting. Because this is a classic for a lot of lists. The double Cabal next to the, that you can't target from outside of 18, who can do 36-inch range. The Ahriman with Flamers, that's standard. Using a single solo Exalted Sorcerer on disc, that's kind of standard. This is a little offbeat. This is kind of common for fodder. This is kind of common for mechanics. This is common because this is Thousand Suns. That's a little different. And I like it. I do hope that when the Codex drops, I really hope that there's more value in Zangors. I do have a ton of them. So I kind of want to see if I can run like an all Zangor meat wall. I feel like it's going to involve maybe 1 or 2 squads being able to resurrect, right? Like there's no way you can play Zangors without get back up. We'll try it though. I need to get this all boxed up and ready to go for tomorrow night, as well as putting away all this other stuff that I've taken out. Whew. At least dinner's ready. So that works. I'm going to get to work on this video, though. I think that'll be cool. Fun, fun, fun. Until next time, guys.